Business meeting, the Grosse Ile Township Board of Trustees. It's March 10th. Let's begin with Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we actually opened the business meeting at 6:31 this evening, and then went to closed session. So now we're just returning to open session. Meeting is in order. We are present except for Treasurer Van Oss, who is excused. And at this point, I will entertain additions, deletions, or deletions to the agenda.
Mr. Supervisor.
Sitting in Ted's shot.
Mr. Supervisor, I would like to add an action item number 3, which will be accepting the bids on PRV valves for our water system.
Support.
Okay, moved by Trustee Budney, seconded by Trustee Smith to add action item number 3, approval for purchase of pressure reducing valves. Any discussion among the board on this addition? All right, with none offered, those in favor of adding action item 3, the purchase of pressure reducing valves, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. That will be added to the agenda. Other additions, deletions to the agenda? All right, with none offered, those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The agenda stands amended. Let's see, at this time, I'll open to public comment limited to agenda items. And I see none offered. Okay, with no public comment offered, we now step to a public hearing. And this public hearing is the Oak River Drive paving improvement. Who is representing, who's putting on the public hearing?
I can give an overview.
All right, Township Manager Riem will begin with the public hearing portion, Oak River Drive Special Assessment District paving. Mr. Riem.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'd like to give a brief overview. On the agenda this evening, the Township Board will be asked to have 2 action items. One would be to award the bid, and the other would be to approve the assessment roll for this paving project. And by way of history, the Oak River Drive paving project, in April of 2013, the Township received a petition from the residents, and we actually, staff administratively, met with all the folks from their association and went through the process, the ordinance, and how we could come to terms with this. This is a private road that they're asking the township to participate in financing and administering the construction project. And we held the first hearing, accepted the petitions, and went ahead and went out for bid, and the bids did come in within the acceptable percentage, and we're asking the board to approve that award contract and accept this proposed roll. The association has offered and committed to pay funds into this project in essence as a buy down. So there will be less for each individual unit to have to finance. They have 2 options within that district, a 10-year or a 15-year, and the amount will depend on whether it's the total amount or the amount, the buy down, which the association has made that recommendation. So assuming that takes place, those would be the 2 options the residents can follow. So with that, I would guess, Mr. Spoxwell, do you have anything that you care to add? Did I miss anything or just? So that is the overview of the process of where we are, and if there are any hearing questions, we'd like to hear them. Yes, sir.
A comment, and correct me if I'm wrong, and the 10 or the 15 is up to the individual resident to pick.
Yes.
It's not an overall for all 16 people. Each individual gets to pick a 10 or a 15.
Right, it's not an all or nothing, that's correct.
So,
Okay, for just a little bit of background on special assessment districts, Oak River Drive being a private road, the residents could collect their money, get permitted from Wayne County and contract to have it paved themselves. What the special assessment district does is brings in the township staff, township expertise. We assist with the engineering, with finding the most reasonable contractor, the best prices on contracting, and as becomes a tax issue, the individuals, this is assessed on their tax, hence a special assessment district. We can enforce, through the tax laws, we can enforce payment. No one is allowed to drop out. I got my road paved. I'm not making payments. I'm moving next year. That option gets removed, so everyone pays the amount he is committed to. So if used properly, special assessment districts work well. This is an example of one I think will work well. A majority of the residents have signed up for it, and this is the public hearing on that issue. So at this time, on a public hearing, we do open up to comments. Is there any other comments from the board? Any comments from the public present on the Oak River Drive paving special assessment district? Yes, sir.
Yeah,
If you would, please come up to the microphone, your name and address, and let us know your thoughts on the issue.
Yeah, hi, board. My name is Mike Esposito. I'm a new resident to Oak River. Moved into 7837 Oak River in November. This is almost, I guess it's hard to put in words because I was almost not really sure of what was going on. When we purchased a home, we were just told about the homeowners association, and now we're told that we've got to come up with $12,000 to pay for the road. Our portion, of course, with the other residents that are in this association. You're just mentioning now that through the tax assessment, we're not going to be able to get out of it. We're liable for it, whether we put our house up for sale now or, choose to stay there. I just don't really think that we've been given a fair shot at this. We've looked over our paperwork for our buyer's agreement, and it's not stated anywhere in that. Is there anything that we're going to be able to do about that? Apparently not, right?
Not to my knowledge, no. Once you may have a concern with your realtor in that if you were not advised that you are in a private homeowners association, and that can lead to things just different. I'm not in one, so I can't give you all the possibilities of what could happen in a private homeowners association. But much like a condo, if the condo's roof needs to be repaired, all the condominium owners pay for it through an association fee, an HOA.
Right, and the way we understood it was we were going to pay the association fee, came up to around $600 a year. And those were going to go towards any improvements or things needed there within the association. Not an additional $600 a year to finance a road project.
The only thing I can tell you is you're going to have the nicest road in the township. I know that's a small consolation, and there's not much to compare to, but you will have a nice road. I really can't give you any more than that.
I mean, a quarter mile of a road that to get to that road, we've got to deal with all the other, and we're paying over $7,000 a year in taxes. It just it just doesn't seem like we've given. We didn't have all that information, so I just wanted to express that. And I don't know if there's anything else that can be done about it.
Mr. Bundy?
Not through the township.
Right, and apparently it's too late to protest anything because it's already been set out, and it is what it is. But just let everybody know that we were not very pleased with the outcome of it.
Thank you for your comments.
I'll get back to
The one thing that I can add is this is a special case because it is a homeowners association. There are cases where people may live on a gravel road and want their road repaved, even though it's not a private road, and they can still follow the same process to do this. So it is unique. You've got the association, and there's apparently some funds to help defray that. They're already in there, but this is this process is followed throughout the island as well. I don't think we've had a special assessment district in quite some time, but there are cases where someone's got a road that's in horrible shape, or maybe it's a dirt road, and the people want to have it repaved. So they petition the board to go through and fund the process and put it on their project and put it on their tax rolls.
Right.
So
And
that had happened in here apparently before you.
right, I understand that. I mean, a majority of the residents had voted for that, and I understand that completely, but as far as a new resident not knowing anything about that, and I guess that's something that we'll have to take up with our realtor and go about
Well,
that.
if there's any good news to this, that the previous owners of your home had contributed to that $100,000 pot that was available, so you're getting something anyway.
Right. No, I understand that as well.
Try to put a good face on
and
this.
that's why, the continuing fees of the homeowners association fees would contribute towards that. And I understand there's other things the association has to do, maintaining and records and, whatever else for the association. But just wanted to express my concern.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Esposito. Other comments, questions from the boards? Any comments from the public? All right, with none offered, we will close the public hearing at 7:58 and move on to consent agenda. You read it, Michael?
Oh,
Are you filling in?
I'll be glad to.
I always look to this side and,
I know.
holy cow.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda 14-016.
Support.
The consent agenda is made up of approval of minutes of the February 24th, 2014 regular meeting, approving the check register, Part 1 and 2, dated March 7th, 2014. Also has the Wayne County DPS annual roads maintenance permits, A14039 and A14091. Wayne County DPS annual permit pavement restoration, A-14094, and Wayne County DPS annual permit special event, various, A14082. And basically, all of those, in case anyone doesn't know, allows us to go onto their roads and right-of-ways and do what we need to do.
Okay, we have a motion to support. Any discussion among the board on consent agenda items? Okay, with none offered, those in favor of approving consent agenda 14-016, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None offered. The consent agenda stands approved. Action items. Mr. Budney. Busy night tonight.
All right. I would like to make a motion to award the
Bid for the Oak River paving project to Hard Rock Concrete in the amount of $151,327.50, based on the recommendation of the Charles E. Raines Company.
Moved by Trustee Budney, seconded by Clerk Ranka. Now some background.
Just a little background. Dale told you what the project was about. The total project cost is $197,840.60. What we're approving here is for the concrete work. It's not for the permits or the engineer or the contingency. That's the other three parts that bring it up to 197. But we're being asked just here to approve the concrete work itself.
Okay, and this is an example, again, on a special assessment district where the township has advantages in bidding, you're getting bids from contractors and getting prices down as low as reasonably possible. So it's just a benefit we provide. Other comments from the board? All right, with none offered, those in favor of let's see, awarding the paving part of the project to,
Hard Rock.
thank you,
Concrete.
I'm sorry, Hard Rock Concrete in the amount of $151,327.50, based on the recommendation of the Raines Company. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None offered? That motion carries. Mr. Budney?
Why, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution adopting a special assessment role for road improvement to Oak River Drive Special Assessment District.
Support.
Okay, moved by trustee Budney, seconded by trustee Smith, for a resolution approving the rolls, the tax rolls for the special assessment district.
And this is the other side of that. This is the ability to show up on their individuals' tax bills, collect the money.
So we have to approve by resolution the names that are on the tax rolls of the special assessment district because they're taxed differently. This will be an addenda or an addendum to their property taxes as they enjoy the best road in Grosse Ile Township.
Correct.
Other comments from the board? All right, with none offered, do we want to read the resolution or can we move to the therefore?
What's the board, does the board need the,
I think we've all read it.
yeah. I think you want me to just read the now therefore?
Pick the now therefore part.
Okay. The assessment roll submitted by the supervisor and assessing officer of the township shall hereafter be designated as Oak River Drive Special Assessment District roll and shall hereby be confirmed as the assessment roll for Oak River Drive Special Assessment District. The assessment is said Oak River Special Assessment District roll number
That'll be determined.
to be determined shall be divided into 10 or 15 equal installments, which is up to the individual homeowner, with the first installment to be due December 1st, 2014, and following installments on each December 1st as part of the winter tax roll. And every year thereafter, and each installment shall bear interest payable annually on each installment at the rate of 5%. The unpaid balance can be paid off in full if received by September 15th, 2014, and will bear no interest. The monies due from the Oak River Drive Association for the paving project must be received by the township within 30 days of the adoption of this resolution, or the designated assessment roll will revert to Oak River Special Assessment District roll to be determined. The assessment made in said Special Assessment District roll are hereby ordered and directed to be collected by the township treasurer, and township clerk shall deliver said special assessment roll to said township treasurer with his warrant attached, commanding the township treasurer to collect such assessment in accordance with the direction of the township board and PA 188.
Okay, with the resolution read and no further comments from the board, those in favor of approving the resolution as read, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None offered. That resolution carries. Project moves along. Well, Mr. Bundy?
Why not one more? I'd like to make a motion to award the alternate bid plus the alternate ad to Lauren,
What?
yes, I'm reading this, and yes. It's a proposed motion to award a bid award for pressure reducing valves, that being the alternate bid plus the alternate ad to Lawrence M. Clark Incorporated, lowest bid, in the amount of $241,380 and no cents, based upon the recommendation of the Charles E. Raines Company and upon the conditional approval of the DPS Commission.
Okay, we're moved by trustee Bundy
Support.
and seconded by clerk Ranka. So this is, Do we have those pictures available?
Yeah, well, we can either put them up, or I was going to pass them down.
Let's get them on the overhead,
Yeah.
so our residents can see where their dollars are going.
What this is at the, and thank you, Sahil.
Sohail has a Mr. Sabaki.
Yeah, if you would pass those down the board, Dale. What this is our water pipe coming over at the north end by the toll bridge. It comes under the channel and comes actually at the Groseal toll bridge booth is where these valves are located, and they have been in that little vault for about 50 years. And if you can see up on the screen the condition of them, most of the time they're underwater and sludge because the vault fills up. What this motion is to replace the pressure reducing valves, and we have a 16-inch pipe, and if we didn't have a pressure reducing valve, we'd be blowing everybody out of their house with water. So you need pressure reducing valves. These have been in there for 50 years. We don't want anything to go wrong. We did look at and seriously consider just repairing these valves, but from a financial standpoint, we would not have been ahead. Repairing them, if in fact we could even find the parts, would only give us a few more years expected life, and we'd be back having to repair them again, which if we did that again, we'd be way over what we're going to pay for brand new valves and a brand new vault, one that our people or our contractors can actually work in. There'll be some headroom. It will be completely waterproof, so the valve will not be sitting in water and muck, and should give us a gauge of about 70 more years life. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sohail if you have anything else to add to that.
Thanks, Mr. Budney. I think you covered it all. Again, the alternate, I just want to explain the alternate bid that we selected to recommend. One option was to just rehab the existing pit, raising the roof and waterproofing it and fixing a sump pump. However, the alternate proved to be at a minimal cost a better option to just replace the entire pit with a brand new pit in place that is more waterproof, that requires less maintenance, that has a reliable sump pump in it, and it's much easier to install. Again, we will be cutting feed to the island from the north side if we undertake this project, and the best option is to undertake the new pit with the new installation of the valves option. With that also, we elected to add the alternate add, which is putting a sectional valve on the west side of the river. So every time we need to isolate this pit or the meter pit or a PRV pit, we don't have to go to the east side and shut the water on the east side and worry about what happens underneath the canal. So again, we recommended the alternate pit and with the alternate add.
And I'd just like to add, Sohail mentioned that we'll be shutting off the water on that pipe, but the water on the island will not be shut down. It'll be fed from the south end.
Yeah. Fortunately, we are fed by two mains, a 16-inch on the north end and a 24-inch on the south end. So we don't anticipate any interruption of service to the residents during that period. There may be some need for flushing and some discoloration of the water as part of the project, but again, the water service will remain in place.
Will these valves have remote reading, remote controlling capability?
The proposed ones do have that capability. However, since we don't have a SCADA system, they are ready to be connected. We'll get the panels in place, the power in place, and once the township implements a SCADA system, they'll be strictly connected and operated.
Very good. I know the SCADA is something that, well, there's no point in adopting the SCADA without replacing these valves.
That's correct.
We have, as we mentioned, we have two feeds, and kind of my layman's view of it is we have to balance the pressure coming in from both of those. If the 24-inch by the county bridge overpowers the 16-inch at the north end, well, bad things will happen. So it's just critical, and our DPS has been managing this for years. Lorinda's the expert on it now. Again, keeping that water balanced so that you have a good continuous flow of potable water. It doesn't happen by magic. It's a lot of work and a lot of long-range planning. So these will be moving us in the right direction to keep those balanced. Other comments from the board? Mr. Ranka, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. What's the status of the pressure-reducing valves at the other end of the island? Or is this going to be a project we're doing there next year? Are they
No,
in
on the
similar
south
condition?
end, it's a newer installation. The valve is constantly maintained. It's in a big housing. It's different than this pit. It is in the pump house and the meter house that is on the south side. It is always dry and accessible and gets maintained regularly.
And then the other question I have is for this this contractor. It's one I've not heard of before. Is that do we have experience with this contractor?
We have had experience at the township with him. He did replace the water main on East River between Manchester and the Ferry Road, and he's done other work in the past on the island.
Has he done work in communities that you work in also?
Yes, he did work in Rockwood. He did work in Melvindale before, so.
Of the same magnitude?
Not PRVs. I mean, this is strictly a mechanical project where you disconnect pipes and reconnect them. He did lots of water main projects for us before, but again, this one is a different type of installation that requires similar sleeves that you use when you repair water mains, and he's familiar with that kind of work.
So they're going to basically build this off-site, cut the old one out, and then just sweat this new one or put this new one in?
That is correct. What they do is what they'll purchase is a dry pit, which is a precast concrete pit. Mm-hmm. Then they'll assemble the piping and the PRVs inside of it, and they have it ready to be put in place. Once it is ready, they remove the existing by cutting the 16-inch pipes. Then they'll drop this in its location, and they use sleeves to connect them together. Instead of welding.
I know you do a lot of the monitoring of contracts, certain contracts on the island. Is this something that Charles E. Range is going to be monitoring this process as well?
We will be watching this. We will be administering the contract, performing the inspection and the testing on it, and again, the quality control on the project.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's very important. I mean,
right.
It's one thing when it's, a couple houses being tapped into, but when this is half of the water supply or arguably a third of the water supply.
No, it is a very critical part of the water supply to the island, and we make sure that everything goes as planned.
How long will we have the 16-inch main closed off? Can you give an estimate?
I have to talk to the contractor about whether it's going to be 2 days, 3 days. It may be up to 3 days. So.
All right, I was just curious. Other questions, comments from the board? All right, with none offered, those in favor of, let me find it, awarding the contract for, let's see, for the alternate bid and the alternate bid add to the Lawrence M. Clark Incorporated company in the amount of $241,380 based on the recommendation of the Charles E. Raines Company and upon the condition of approval of the DPS Commission. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None offered. This is our continuous improvement. Job well done. All right, that will conclude our action items tonight. Move on to the clerk's report. Mr. Rankin.
Mr. Supervisor, brief clerk's report today. I'll start out by congratulating Coach Brian Friel and the Groseville boys varsity basketball team on winning the Class B district championship Friday night against Flat Rock. Brian works in the clerk's office as well. It's the first boys basketball championship district championship in Groseville in 9 years. And the team is playing tonight a regional game against Milan. From a Commission and committee update, Planning Commission met on March 3rd, and we approved a lot coverage area ratio for an addition of a house. Next meeting is on March 19th, and there's a Police Commission tomorrow night. And that's it for the clerk's report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk.
You want me to?
Yeah, if you have the treasurer's report?
I do not.
Let's see, does anybody have a treasurer's report?
This is all theirs.
Okay, let's see here what he has. Treasurer's month-end balances.
Do we have anything from the finance director that would fill in for the treasurer's report? We can let that slide in Italy. A little bit of investment report.
Yep, all she has available is the investment report, the tax. Sorry.
I was just going to say, total interest earned, $705.85.
We will spend that all in one place. That's where we are. That's pretty much covers it.
Yeah.
All right, we're winging it here. Let's see, move on to trustee reports. Mr. Malvesto.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. We have picked out a date for the kayak outing. It's going to be June 15th. It'll be at Water's Edge. We are looking for volunteers to help us organize and put this on. So anyone who would like to participate, please contact Tim Rooney or myself or Kathy Walker. We're all available. And we'll have entertainment, food. There'll be 2 separate kayaking events. Hopefully there'll be some prizes, and it's for the benefit of the community. So it's going under the title of Where's the Kayakers? And I hope that a lot of you attend and enjoy yourself. It's going to be, hopefully the weather is going to cooperate with us.
Liquid?
Yeah, be liquid. None of that white stuff on the grass. Anyways, that's it for this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Malvesto. Mrs. Smith.
Okay, I have a couple of things, so bear with me. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but the Downriver Profile magazine was just published, and it features Groseal and Flat Rock, and did a really nice job of talking about the businesses and some of the happenings on the island, so that was good to see. Another accolade to kind of add to our safety holster is we made the SafeWise 50 Safest Cities in Michigan. So that is a combination of data from the recent FBI crime reports with their own research to create a list of the safest cities in Michigan. And basically, from what I can tell from who the SafeWise group is they are a service that kind of oversees and gives opinions on home security systems. It just helps. A little bit helps, right? And let's see, Saturday, March 1st, I, along with Brian and Jim, attended the Groseal School Strategic Planning session. It was a lot of information that was shared, and it was public, and the public was actually able to contribute to the process, which was nice to see. And it was great to be part of that as a board, and so I really appreciate them for inviting us. In regards to schools also, this is something that Comcast has, and Comcast has announced that they are extending their Internet Essentials program, and this program provides low-cost broadband service for only $9.95 a month plus tax, plus the option to purchase an internet-ready computer for under $150 and multiple options to access free digital literacy training in print, online, and in person. However, you have to be eligible. Eligible families must have at least one child eligible to participate in the National School Lunch Program, including public, parochial, private, and homeschool students. So any of those people out there who might qualify for that, they can contact the Internet Essentials Program through internetessentials.com or call 855-846-8376. The next Communications Commission meeting is going to take place this Wednesday at 7 p.m. and it's exciting because we hope to see a second iteration of the creative. We are also working on the forms project so that when the new website launches, we are going to have a forms library that will have PDFs so that you can fill them out. Okay. And then also I want to remind the board to submit bios to Kathy Walker, no more than 3 or 4 sentences, just the basics, nothing too personal. The next Festival Commission meeting will take place on Wednesday the 19th at 7 o'clock. And the commission's done a really nice job of getting some of the marketing out. We are actually posted on 19 different websites out there as far as Island Fest itself. So when you look at WJR, Cranes, MLive.com, Festival.com, Fireworks.com, PureMichigan.com, all of those free listings, Island Fest is mentioned there. So we hope to get some additional attendees from that. And those are all free, by the way. I didn't mention that. Also want to mention that if you're looking to volunteer at Island Fest this year, the volunteer website is currently up and ready to receive your slot. It's real easy. If you just go to volunteerspot.com, or you can go to the Island Fest webpage on the Township homepage, and there is a little button that says click here for volunteer opportunities. And lastly, channels, the rec department is putting out, their spring publication, and I've been working with Tim Rooney in regards to reformatting that particular publication. It is going to be in tabloid format, and it's going to contain a lot more community information. It's going to be much more robust and user-friendly, so look for it in your mailboxes at the end of April. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Ms. Prendergast.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you.
Greenways Open Space Committee held their meeting last week Tuesday.
Your mic.
Unlit when I...
It does that to vex you.
Testing. Greenways Open Space.
There we go.
Meeting was held last week on Tuesday, and the Bike Path Committee will be meeting this coming Tuesday. They're on either side of the Township Board meeting by a week. Both of these committees are heading into their busy time. There's going to be a lot going on the bike paths, and then the trails and paths on Grove Seal. And both of these committees have some great ideas. We'd love to see you show up at a meeting and listen to what they've proposed, and come on down and give us your 2 cents worth as to where you'd like to see bike paths or trails or amenities like the open spaces dealt with. We're kind of a small committee in Greenways Open Space. We could appreciate some help from you. Bike Path Committee is a little bit bigger, and they've got some things. They had a big deal last year, and now we're going to do some polishing this year. But I think you're going to see some nice effort from both of these committees. Bike Path is working on the proposal. They'll be shining up a proposal to fund the fountain. And I hope that we will have the actual fountain at Island Fest. We'll try to stand it up on a support and let people see what we're going to build a brick paver around. That should be a nice event or a nice venue to show it off. The last thing I'd like to say is that for the next 4 or 5 days, everybody around here is Irish. And let's be real careful and responsible this weekend, okay? Have fun, but do it careful. That's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee Opozniak.
Opozniak, there you go. O'Wally.
O'Wally. Mr. Budney. Budney.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. No DPS meeting tomorrow. Evidently, most of the board or commission just couldn't take the snow anymore, and they all took off on me. So we don't have a DPS meeting until April. April 1st, yard waste pickup begins. Quite possibly by April 1st, we won't still be able to see our yard waste, but it does begin that day. I would just again remind everybody, especially as we're getting our thaw, and I'm sure everybody not only has seen the chuck holes, but has seen the pavement change from real bumpy to not so bad to back to bumpy. Again, the Wayne County road number is 1-888-762-3273. That is where the complaints and the requests for road work go. That's what, if you give it to us, that's where it's going to end up. Along those lines, for those people out there, and they're the very few, But for those people out there who feel the need to call our employees and yell at them and abuse them and disrespect them, I would suggest that you call me, 676-4422, extension 245, and abuse me, but leave them alone. It should not happen. Our employees go out of their way to help the residents of this island. And I just find it absolutely disgusting to hear of people calling in and just yelling and screaming at our people, telling them that they're not doing their job because of something that isn't even under our control. So if you wanna pick on somebody, you call me and we'll try that out. But leave our employees alone. And I'd just also like to say, to Brian Friel, good job.
Thank you, Mr. Budney. That'll bring around the supervisor's report. Let's see, open up with 2 weeks. March 24th will be the annual meeting, beginning at 6:30 with a reception. The annual meeting will begin at 7:15, followed by a regular business meeting at 8 p.m. This is our township's chance to thank all the volunteers who make up our commissions and committees and do all the real hard work for the betterment of our community. On that subject, any residents interested in serving on a commission or committee, we do have openings available. You can contact Carol at the administration office or one of the pleased to help you members of the clerk's office, Mrs. Gray, Mr. Friel. They'll get you more information and application forms. Had a busy meeting at the Downriver Community Conference. The big topic was Wayne County's debt and how they're planning to refinance it. Parts were presented, parts were rebutted. It's the next looming financial debacle. I can't put it any other way. One of the methods they're looking to generate the ton of cash they need is to form an authority for the Wayne County. This doesn't affect us, fortunately, but the Wayne County's wastewater treatment plant, and sell it to the authority members on top of the assessments they've been heaping on it, and nobody seemed real enthused, and I see Mr. Sabak shaking his head. Nobody thought, I can't speak on it because fortunately we have our own wastewater treatment plant that we run as efficiently as possible, but nobody seemed impressed with that option. That was just one of many. But Detroit's going to be a mess to watch. Wayne County is right behind them. We did have a consultant from DTE Energy, and believe it or not, they will, and they promise us, they will make residential visits and give you an energy consultation. They will give you some CFL bulbs, a restricted flow shower heads, and give you an overall audit of your home's energy use. They were filling us in on the visits they'll make for businesses, but they said they will also do residences, and I'll get the number on the website as soon as I confirm that this is the number, but they are interested in helping you save energy. So if you want to save some bucks, give them a call, see if they can help you out. Cindy Dingle was there. She advised us there is no more salt in Wayne County available. They're not going to give us any. We never got very much from them anyway, as we're all aware. But don't expect salt trucks, even if we get another 3 or 4 inches of snow. Roads and hydrants. We're doing the best we can with the roads. Keep your hydrants clear. The hydrants are being marked now. I've shoveled mine out 6 times now, but by golly, if the trucks show up, I want them getting to water quickly, and I want them saving my home and my family quickly. So if you have a hydrant in front of you, adopt it. Keep it accessible. We're doing more work to make the hydrants work better. I'm just extremely proud of the work of our fire department, working with the DPS on having reliable pressurized water to fight fires, and golly, we saw recently just how important that is. I still think we're the safest community. I'm not sure how Movoto rated us #1, and I think Riverview is 2nd. And then in the safe-wise, we're #4, and Riverview is #1. ostensibly using the same data, but in any event, it's pretty safe living downriver, and it's real safe living in Grosse Ile. But Riverview is not going to pull you out of the drink if you sink your boat, and they're not going to pull you off the ice, but our guys will. So keep that in mind. We're still the safest community around. We do have our centennial celebration coming up this October. I want to start out with a thanks to Chad Novak and Lauren Smith from the Festival Commission. They've taken on this other festival event, and they're looking for your inputs on what you'd like to see on a one-day centennial celebration in October of 1914, Grosse Ile Township. Basically, Riverview is the last remaining community. They be incorporated as a city, leaving the remnant of Mungwagon Township to be Grosse Ile Township. So we incorporated as a township, general law, in 1914. I think we've operated pretty well ever since, but 100 years, and help us out so we can work for the next 100. What else? That concludes my report. Turn it over to the township manager, Mr. Ream.
Thanks, Spring.
Thanks, Spring. Other than the 4 inches tomorrow night, what could possibly go wrong? With that, will conclude the reports. Then I will open up to public comment. Any topic you want your fellow residents or your board members to hear about, it's 3 minutes and the mic is open. Mr. Heil. And I am going to make one more comment before I close the meeting tonight. I overlooked something, so I'm sorry. Mr. Heil?
I'm sorry, were you going to make another comment?
No, I'll let you have the microphone, sir.
Okay. Go ahead.
I will before I adjourn the meeting.
Okay. My name is Bill Heil. I live on East River. There was a meeting down here on Monday past regarding preparing the budget. I had opportunity to review a video disc of that, and I had a lot of different feelings. I mean, you can circle around an issue and look at it from a couple of different points of view. You all certainly withstood the cold well, and I could see you shivering there. You also were very concerned and sincere in your concerns and in your opinions about wanting what is best for this township. But at the same time, I'm here not so much to commend you for that, but to say that I have some concerns that face a bigger picture than I heard addressed there. In summary, if I were to say, and I can explain a little more afterwards, but we have a lot of unpaid potential issues in front of us. You can talk about roads. If you want to talk about repairs, out of one side of our mouth we can say, give the road commission a call. We can also turn around and say that, the county's broke. And when we got to the portions of the meeting dealing with employees and evaluations, we had a lot of comment like that. I'd like to give a 2% raise. Well, is that the right thing for the cost of living? Is this what we should do? Maybe there should be a performance issue involved. We should put that in there. But we don't have standards, and how do we remember for a year when we're just doing it now? Let me make a list and I'll decide what to do, and somebody else says, hey, we're already in the hole, we don't have any money to give. Rightly so. If you make it a raise, it packs into workers' compensation, it packs into pensions. What it told me was that at least on that issue, an ability to have a consistent focus was not there. I have a suggestion for that in a minute, but I want to go on. We had some conversation about roads. There was some comment about the possibility of a long-term bond to fix roads. I think it was basically a pragmatic suggestion acknowledging that Wayne County doesn't have the money, and whether it's their responsibility or not, if we hit potholes, we have damaged cars. Our emergency vehicles are also going to be impaired and damaged. But we have other things. We're repairing those valves, but our fresh water supply, those pipes break multiple times a week now. We have people risking their lives to fix them, and we already know about what that issue involves. From what I heard there, a very substantial amount of money every year is paid for repair. So what I did is I put my finger in the air, it was wet, and I came up with a pro forma. I said, Let's say it's $1 million a mile for fresh water pipes. We have 38 miles that we need. Let's fund them at 4% for 30 years. What does it come out to? It came out to $2.25 million a year. You divide that by 4,100 tax-paying units. We're paying a very substantial proportion of that right now just to repair what we have. We're sort of in the position with the pipes that we are with the valves. But beyond that, there's the wastewater treatment plant. There's unsettled issues there. We have pension responsibilities. I'm not sure where we sit with them. If you add all of those up, we have a lot of potential money necessary that's ahead of us. Now, on the income side, there's also problems there. There was once a time when we had a lot of money in the bank. I don't know how long ago it was, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. A knowing decision was made at that time that we should give the taxpayers a break and cut back on what we taxed people. So we knew that what we spent and what we took in weren't going to match. And that kept going on, and it kept going on, but circumstance has changed. And yes, we have reduced operating costs in a lot of ways. A lot of people don't have jobs here any longer. But the bottom line, in hard fact, is that the monies that we have for our responsibilities aren't commensurate with our future needs. We haven't displayed, as I was listening to that, any foresight and attention to planning for these things. Now, frankly, I'm not sure that I can point to any one of you and say you should know these things. In your own lives, with your own occupations, you haven't addressed some of the skill sets for the analysis of what's going on. Neither have I. But what I would have liked to have seen more of somewhere along the way, and frankly, even prior to this, is that you took opportunity to go ask people who do know for their evaluation of the circumstance and maybe some outline of what alternatives might be available. I can't give a lot of examples. I remember reading in the Wall Street Journal 9 months ago. There's an article. It says, if you're a municipality and you'd like some analysis of how things work, we've got this big number cruncher and we've got a consulting unit that can help you. Well, when you're talking about, for example, what do we do with employee compensation, where do we stand in comparing with our neighboring communities for each position that is here? Are we underpaying our people? Are we the norm? Are we overpaying them compared to others? What does 2% mean to that? What's our overall cash position? But you can ask questions that same way about the pipes. We have people here right on the island. Charlie Campo's one, but I think there's another company, Pro Excavating, their owners live here. We could go to them. Jim Fasenhammer, he's retired, but he was in HR at Ford Motor. There must be somebody here somewhere that we all know who could give us better advice than we've taken so far. I've written a letter that basically expresses these concerns. I've sent it to Lena. What I'd like to see is a bunch of people here, the night you approve that budget, who ask you to take this coming year and face some of these issues head on. One of the things I think you need to face before anything else is building this tax base. The way you build the tax base, as I see it, is to get more property taxes. I may be wrong, I don't look at the books, but I'm of the opinion that the single biggest source of revenue that we have comes from property taxes. And you made comment at the meeting about the value of 10 new homes that were constructed here. We're not going to be able to cut our way out of this situation. We're going to also have to improve our revenue. What would we do? I don't know. I've come up with 2 suggestions along the way, and nothing much has happened with them. But we're going to have to find a way to enhance the revenues that we have coming in. I think this community would be better served if you found a way to address that issue. And I'm hoping that a number of other citizens will be vehement in that request as well. I think we'll be all better served by that. Do you have any questions of me?
I have, my only comment, Mr. Heil, I wish you had been at the budget meeting to ask these questions, because it would have been much easier to answer them there than here. But, what do you want me to touch on first? Our water mains, we're repairing them, we have a capital improvement plan, we have funds for it, we're trying, yes, they break. We're trying to fix the most aged, the most unreliable portions.
And the ones that break are the ones that get it.
We fix the ones that break, but we have areas that we know are less robust than others, and we have a capital improvement plan to fix that. We're using your dollars, I think, wisely. We have a plan, and we're going with the plan unless things change dramatically. But this has been thought out. The roads are Wayne County. You're being taxed twice to fix the roads because of the voter-approved road millage and the taxes that are already collected by the state and federal governments. You're being taxed twice. I'm trying to work with the legislature to get us different consideration. Other townships are making some progress, but as a self-contained island township, we're just orphans. I haven't given up, still working on it. Our long-term debt, we had a briefing from MERS, the municipal, is it Michigan or municipal? Michigan Employees Retirement System. They changed our amortization schedule, which put us in a little less funded category. But we're on our way. We're paying our bills. The rug is not going to get pulled out from under any of our employees or retirees that I can see. Yes, I'd like to build up the property tax base. There are a number of ways we can do that. Being the safest city in Michigan certainly helps attract residents, but we need residents. We need possibly more residences. You're right, we can't cut anymore from our budget. We can't cut any more employees without affecting services. We are on a skeleton crew. Everybody here works just, I'm going to say, just incredibly hard. I am so proud of this group of employees, and like Mr. Budney said, you call up and start cussing out one of our employees, you might as well cuss me out, because I take it as seriously as they do. I actually called the Sibley Yard resident, told me what a good job the county employee did, and I called Sibley Yard. They had never gotten a thank you call from anyone. Why don't we give a thank you call when the guys do a good job? Why don't we get a thank you call when our employees do a good job?
Are you talking about Wayne County?
I'm making Wayne County.
Was this in the last week?
2 weeks ago. Oh. I made the call last week, but it was when they finally broke the ice out.
Just for the record, about 2 or 3 days ago, maybe a week ago, there was somebody on East River fixing over the bridge at the causeway. I stopped and thanked the guy. He was from Wayne County.
They don't get that often.
I know.
But if you have a list of concerns that...
Well, I've got them in a letter that I want people to look at. Well, I believe that more could have been done to address the future.
We could have answered that. We could have answered those questions if you'd have sent that letter to us before you sent it to the paper. But
I would like more. I have talked about these issues before, and in fact, you've provided me with some of the information that's fuel for my concern in times past. And I'm not convinced that anything meaningful has happened. I'm not saying that you made this issue. I'm saying you inherited the issue. I'm not saying I disrespect you, and I think the people who work for this township who I've talked to would feel I've addressed them politely. But I'm saying something needs to be done that is different than what has been going on. And I'm saying, in one word, we need to do something different and something more. And I would appreciate your addressing that with more vigor in this year ahead. That's what I'm saying to all of you.
Okay, well, be here for the budget presentation. I think you're going to like the results, and I'll take any suggestions. Everything helps.
If you speak to any of those issues, I'm willing to listen to them, and you can bet I'll be here. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Mr. Heil. Let's see, Mr. Delphi.
Well, Mr. Delphi is up, and we use a number of consultants for a lot of statistical analysis, a lot of analysis on a lot of our systems, infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe for the budget session, you could have a list of all those consultants, because I think that the facts need to be shown very clearly.
Good, thank you. Yep. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Delphi, good to see you again, sir.
Yes, Jack Delphi, 10321 Loma Circle. I have three questions, and under the consent agenda, you have three items: Wayne County DPS annual roads maintenance permits, pavement permits, special events permits, what do those cost?
Those permits, I don't think they cost us anything. It's a pro forma agreement. And mostly, they send us a list of constraints, a list of insurance requirements, so they're separate from the resolution. But those permits basically indicate that we've read the requirements before we do any work on county roads. We have the proper insurance and safeguards in place. We're going to follow all your rules. And then permits are, okay, we're showing 0 on this permit. Now, these won't be the only permits if we're going to do any work. But this is essentially the pre-permitting for special events, block parties, anytime we're going to close a road for a parade. This permit's already in place, and it lets Wayne County know that when we do apply for a repair permit, that we already have our insurance in place, we know the rules, we have the safeguards. So they're tedious text, and actually, again, Cindy Dingle at the DCC meeting reminded everyone that Wayne County needs those permits back in their hands before the spring construction season. So we may be one of the first ones. They were dated in November, and I got them at the end of February, so we're turning them around pretty quickly. I hope that answers your question, sir.
Okay, it's not often you get something for nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's that way.
I'm not sure that we are, but...
We have documents, but that's about it.
Okay, second question, different subject.
Okay.
The pressure-reducing valves, were those in the budget at $241,000?
Yes, they are.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, in fact, we budgeted a little more, so we're well within our budget.
Good. Third question, and this is bike paths, and Walter touched on some bike paths, but I recall about 4 years ago, I was involved in it. There was some question about a bike path that goes from the high school to the middle school. Mm-hmm. They have a nice bike path, and at that time, it required work. And I just wondered, whose responsibility is that? Is that the schools, or is that the bike path? And second, I think that they ought to look at this. If it's been resurfaced or whatever, that's fine. If not, and our Bike Path Commission has the responsibility for that, I think that they should look at that. Thank you.
Okay.
It's a bit of a gray area.
What's that?
It's a bit of a gray area. Who's responsible?
It remains a period of gray area. It was a gray area 4 years ago.
It was a gray area last year when we looked at it also.
Okay.
There was talk about doing some resurfacing, Jack. Didn't get into last year. We're going to look at it this year.
Well, I believe you have money in the Bike Path Maintenance Fund, and if it's a gray area and it's been that way for 5 or 10 years,
there's been argument about whether it is truly our bike path or if it is a school property, and I don't know that answer right off the top of my head.
Might Ohio have some input in that? So Ohio, I believe he designed the path at the time. Who paid for it? And
Well, see if you can bail us out, because my next call would be the township manager who shepherded this project, but go ahead, Mr. Sabak.
That particular
It's a gray area, huh?
path is a CDBG path. Right. And because it was put in with CDBG, the school asked us when we can to do as much maintenance as we possibly can, because obviously they don't have a source of funds for these types of things. What we were trying to do last fall as part of our repair project was fix that in a few spots, but then the weather turned and they weren't able to complete it. So it is still something that is on our radar.
But it seems like what we need is an agreement with the school as to who's going to do what, and then when things come up, they're done. Not go back to the drawing board and go, okay, whose turn is it? Whose is it? Let's get an agreement with them.
Anything to add, Mr. Sabaki?
No, Dale hit on it directly, that we did look at it and we ran out of weather last year. We planned to add it to the maintenance program that we had in place, but again, we couldn't get it done. It was looked at, evaluated, it does need repairs.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Delphi. Mr. Clark.
And while he's walking up,
$886 to O'Reilly Rancilio for prosecutions.
Is that the one for the Moshe? Or
No.
is that the one? Huh? Regular? Okay. Dump the Junk is going to be last week in April or the first week in May, depending on the weather.
Okay, good.
We'll make a decision later on to what it's going to be. Now, I don't know if Mr. Bundy was referring to me as I made the phone call. I wasn't yelling.
No,
I was just asking.
it wasn't you.
Okay, I was just asking, because that hole down there on South Point was bad. You hit it at night, dark. I hit it Saturday night and it was bad. Sunday night I went around it and they fixed it today and it's beautiful.
And absolutely, we want people calling in, letting us know, or calling Wayne County and letting them know, but do it in a respectful manner.
Yeah.
That was not you. It was not you all.
I don't remember yelling. I remember having a conversation.
No.
Okay, Dump Junk was done. Okay, my favorite subject. I talked to three townships or cities around the area. Wyandotte, Riverview, Trenton. They all have a 48-hour curfew. After 48 hours, they give them a ticket. We have a ticket that runs from 15 to 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Other questions, comments from the public present? All right, I said I did have one more announcement to make, and actually, do we have a copy of this we can put on the overhead? Would you? Well, I'll tell you what, Ann, if you'll put it up, you'll have to read it, because as you're probably aware, we had a tragic event with one of our employee family, and we are such a small community and such a small employee staff. We are like a family. Anyway, tragically, our newest member, Miss Carrie Lockwood, lost her husband in January, and it's been devastating. So we have a fundraiser scheduled. If you get that, folks, and if you would.
Yep. The fundraiser is scheduled for Saturday, April 12th of 2014. Tickets are $25. I do have them available. Includes dinner, mazzaccioli, salad, desserts, coffee, and pop, and we'll have 50-50 raffles and gift baskets available for raffle, and it will be at the Grosedale Pilot House from 5 to 9. So hopefully we'll get a great turnout, because she's a wonderful lady. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Starsniak. Okay. Now I'm done, and let's see, we've completed public comment. At this point, with no other inputs from the board, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Mr. Bundy? Second. Support. I'll give that one to Mrs. Smith. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none offered. We'll call this meeting adjourned at 8:53. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Be safe, and we'll see you again at the annual meeting in 2 weeks.